Welcome back to this guy's garage. Today we're going to talk about how do you choose a paint gun. Well, you choose it for the material that you're going to use. Here we have a list of materials. They're the most common materials. Hopefully what you get from this video is how to do the research to find out what gun is best for you yourself. So that's why I want to arm you with the information that you need. And all this is coming up.
This guy's garage. Like and subscribe.
So people get caught up on name brands and what's the best gun, hvlp versus siphon feed versus, it's all what you're comfortable with. So today I got a list of products: epoxy primer, high build primer, single stage paint, base coat, sealer, clear coat. They're the most common uses for a paint gun. The three most prominent, still in use guns that you're going to get the most information on are the hvlp, the gravity conventional, and the siphon conventional. Why is this important? Well, you want to pick the best gun for your needs. Now, I just did a video on the difference between these three guns. You can catch that video right here. All right, so let's get into it. So now that you know the difference between the three guns, hvlp, gravity, and conventional, and siphon feed, the next most important thing after you chose what kind of gun that you're going to use is the needle size. This gun, it has a 1.4 tip and an air cap. The siphon feed has a 1.8. See right there, it's clearly marked on the air cap. Depending on the material you're using, you want to get the gun that fits into them parameters the best. For today's purposes, we're going to be using the Eastwood companies. Eastwood has a large line of products, and they have a lot of information on their website that you can get the information from. So that's where I got my information for this advice video. So take their epoxy primer, for example. For a hvlp gun, they suggest a 1.4 to a 1.8. Why is there such a gap there? Well, everybody mixes their paint a little bit different, and all guns are a little bit different, so that's why they leave the wide gap there. So when choosing a primer gun, so we have high build primer here, 1.5 to 1.7. Sealer gun here, 1.2 to 1.4. But mostly I put the sealer with the paint guns because sealer goes in, when you're sealing a car, you're going to be sealing it about the time that you're going to be painting it. So you're going to be using your paint gun to do that process. So we have our epoxy primers, our high build primer, all sorts of primers, right? So for a hvlp, if I had my heart set on using a hvlp gun, so you have your epoxy primer, your high build primer, there's all sorts of primers, there's etch primers. So for a hvlp gun, 1.4 to 1.8, that's the gap, right? You have your high build primers, 1.5 to 1.8. So to make, you want a gun to do as many jobs as possible. So a primer gun in a hvlp, you want to stay to the larger side because these are products that are heavy. They have hard, you'll have a hard time getting primer in the gun. So if you run into that problem, just by the way, turn your nozzle in, so it will center your pattern. It will give you a more concentrated round space. And if I was picking a hvlp gun just for doing primer work, I would stick in the 1.7, 1.8 area. It'll allow you to do more work with one piece of equipment because you want to be able to do multiple jobs with one piece of equipment. And for gravity conventional, you can see here it's 1.4 to 1.6. Your high build is 1.6 to 2.0. So you want to be in this 1.6 to 1.8 area. It'll give you the ability to do more work with one piece of equipment. And the same with the gravity conventional. So epoxy primers in the 1.6 to 1.8 tip range. Your high build primers in your 1.7 to 2.0 range. So I'd stick in the 1.8 range for a siphon feed gun like I have here. It will allow you to do more work. And a siphon gun is really a workhorse. It will do, a 1.8 tip will work with all these products with a siphon feed gun. It's a natural workhorse. It will do a lot of work that you can't do with the other types of guns. Now let's get to the paint side of things. So we're talking about our base coats, our single stages, our clear coats. And again, this is for the person that's just getting started. And you don't want to be buying multiple pieces of equipment just to get started. And I have lots of videos on paint testing cheap paint guns that will do great work. For the person that's just getting started, it's okay to buy a cheap paint gun. You're not going to get professional results if you bought an expensive paint gun. You can buy 3 paint guns that'll work with all your potential products that you're going to use for a seventh of the price of a good quality paint gun like a DeVilbiss or a Sata Jet. A Sata Jet or a DeVilbiss is going to run you $600 to $1,000 for a good one. Get a couple of cheap guns, find out what works best for you, and then when that gun wears out, you can add a better gun into your inventory of equipment. But there's nothing wrong with starting out with cheap equipment. The best way to learn in this industry is by making mistakes and recognizing the mistakes that you made. Don't wear rose-colored glasses when you're looking at your work. Recognize the mistakes you made, and then you begin to recognize what can you do to affect changes on those mistakes you made. So let's talk about the paint side of things, which encompasses single stage paint, base coat, sealer, clear coat. Now there's a lot of different clear coats. That's why you have such a large spread on the clear coat side of things, because you have your high solids clear, you have your express clears, which are naturally on the thinner side. They'll all come out of the gun, and you'll find a way to make them look the way you want them to look. But you're just learning. So you're going to start out with some Eastwood products probably, but once you get good at this, you're going to go to a jobber or a supplier in a location near you, and this video will allow you to ask the questions so you can buy the best equipment for the needs of that product that you're going to be able to use. So my hope here is that you learn how to investigate and find out what's best for you yourself. So we have our single stage paint, we have our base coat, which is the thinnest of them. Base coat and sealer are a lot alike. So, and you have your clear coat. So you have your single stage paint here. All right, so you have your single stage paint. You have a 1.5 to 1.7 in your hvlp lineup. So 1.3 to 1.5 for your base coat. Your sealer is 1.2 to 1.4, but you can easily get away with a 1.5. Your clear coat, 1.3 to 1.5. So if I was buying a hvlp gun and I wanted to be able to use it for all of these materials, I'm going to try to get close to the center line of all of them as possible. So a 1.4 or a 1.3 will work with nearly all of these materials. You may have to adjust your reducer, you may have to adjust some things, but a 1.3, 1.4 hvlp will work for nearly all these products. Now, here we're at the gravity conventional. So this is a gravity conventional. It doesn't look any different than a hvlp gun, but it is a lot more forgiving than a hvlp gun, as I discussed in the previous video. So your gravity conventional with your single stage, your base coat, your sealer, your clear coat. I have both a 1.3 and a 1.4 tip gun here, and they both do very well with all these products. So you can see here your single stage is 1.6 to 2.0. That's not set in stone, hard and fast, but that's not all set in stone. It's not all hard and fast rules, but a 1.3 to 1.5 gun will get in this area where you'd be able to use all these products with one gun. You don't want to be buying a different gun for every product out there. You want to buy a gun that's in the middle range of operating in multiple areas. So your paint side, you know, you want to have the most versatile gun possible. On your primer side, you want to have the most versatile gun possible. So you're going to choose your gun to work in this, that'll operate in the best range. And with your siphon feed, you can see here, the siphon feed gun, all the recommendations that came from Eastwood are between 1.6, 1.8. The high build primer is 1.7 to 2.0, but you could get away with a 1.8 with all of these materials. So if this video leaves you with any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section down below. We have quite a few videos on paint guns in our playlist, so I will put an appropriate playlist in the end screens here. So thanks again for stopping by This Guy's Garage. If this video helped you out some, you can help us right back by hitting that subscribe button. It'll be right there. You can watch another video right around here somewhere. And until the next time, folks, This Guy's out.